From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, I'm Rob Cairns. I'm the founder, CEO, and chief creator of Amazing Ideas at Stunning Digital Marketing. And today's podcast, I have Jorge Casals with me from Datapocket and talking all things Datapocket. Grab a drink, sit back, relax, enjoy the show. This podcast is sponsored by Stunning Digital Marketing, the agency that can help protect your WordPress website today. Go to stunningdigitalmarketing.com and see what we can do to help you protect your business investment. That's stunningdigitalmarketing.com. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. Good morning, and today I'm here with my good friend Jorge Casals of Datapocket, WordCamp Europe organizing, and many other things. How are you today?
Good, thank you, and thank you for the invite.
Oh, you're welcome. Such a pleasure. It's funny, if once isn't a charm, sometimes 3 times is a charm, isn't it? You know?
Completely true.
Yeah, and you are coming to us from the bright country of Spain this morning, are you not? Or
Yep, right from the capital, from Madrid.
from Madrid. And how is life in Madrid and going at this time?
Well, it's busy. I mean, it's true that the weather has changed from all of a sudden. It used to be 30 degrees. Now we are on 15 or 10.
Yeah.
But it's looking good. WordCamp Madrid, which is one of the biggest in Spain, is coming next week. So pretty exciting. And I just came back from WordCamp Sevilla, which is, I think is, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the very first WordCamps ever created.
Yeah, it's got a long legacy and history. And was it well attended or this year?
It was really fun, to be honest. Like, their organizing team was really fun. Nilo is very known. He's usually the photographer in most WordCamps, and he was organizing. So it was really, really good. Really good.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you had a good time. This year has been kind of a crazy year. I haven't been able to get to any of the North American WordCamps in the Toronto, upstate New York area. There's been both Rochester and Buffalo, and just the way it's flowed, I didn't even get to WordCamp US. I've had stuff going on like every weekend. So next year, but if you can't get to a WordCamp, both of us would probably encourage you to get out to one and meet some people and have some fun and do all that good stuff, right? Yeah. What we're talking about, WordCamp was going to save this, but you have been on the organizing committee for WordCamp Europe, and you were last year in Athens, and you will next year in Torino, which actually might get me there as well as my spring trip. Yay. But how do you find being a WordCamp organizer?
Yeah, it's a good question. People ask me if I was an organizer before, because usually people are organizing local meetups, like on your own town or city. But I went straight into WordCamp Europe, to be honest. And it was such a good experience. It's true that it's very tough because you work for 9 months. So it's like having a baby, and you work on WordCamp Europe for 9 months. And then you get into the event and you work extra hard on those 3 days. As we were talking before, you do enjoy the event, but not as much as if you were an attendant.
Yeah, so
true. Let's see how next year is organized, and hopefully I can get to meet more sponsors or meet more people around. Let's see what happens in Torino.
Yeah, what I would say is, we were kind of talking before we went to record. The big thing about being an organizer of any big event is, A, you see everything nobody else sees because you're so dialed in. And the whole key I always say is when people look at me and say nothing went wrong, and I'm thinking in my head, oh, I can think of 30 things that should have happened, but as long as the people going didn't see them, it's not so bad, right? And
So
then
true.
it's hard to enjoy that event because you're running around making sure it runs. And I think of some of my days of running some big events of a couple thousand people in Toronto in the community. And somebody said to me once walking out of an event, did you see that great talk? And I said, honestly, I'll watch the recording later. I probably saw 2 minutes of it. It's the way it works, right? We give of our time unselfishly to make other people have a great time. And you should be commended. Yeah, you should be commended for donating your time that way. Well done. Anybody who does should be appreciated. So much appreciated.
Yeah.
So let's jump into a product that you run called Datapocket. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the product? Do you mind?
Yeah. Datapocket was originally born thanks to our collaboration with Canva. Canva invited us to a kind of like a private program called Alpha API program. It was launched in April 2022, and the agreement was to help them with the new API and SDK, and in return, they let us develop a new app. So we had to come with a new idea, and Datapocket was created because of Canva's opportunity, really. So with our expertise on e-commerce, connections, images, pricing, etc., we developed Datapocket, which basically is the connector between the e-commerce world and the design platforms. So what we are doing is we're allowing users across the world, so for example, WooCommerce, Shopify, and WordPress even, to connect all their information, so images, titles, descriptions, and prices, to Canva, Figma, and Adobe in real time. So we are letting them, we're kind of like the bridge in between. But people get confused here. We are the bridge in between, but one way only. So we leave you on the design platform. Then what you do with the design is really your responsibility and up to you. We are not kind of like cross-platform. So we don't really want to interfere with your own privacy inside of your WooCommerce or inside of your Shopify. That's really up to you. It's more like a marketing tool.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned you support both WooCommerce and Shopify. Do you have more Shopify users? Do you have more Woo users? Or you kind of split down the middle on that one?
It's a good question. So we even connect more e-commerces, but it's true that the focus is on Shopify and WooCommerce. These are the biggest players. And if I'm honest with you, we have almost 50-50.
Wow.
Shopify and WooCommerce. There's a real fight in there.
Yeah. Now on Shopify, do you have to go to one? I assume you have to go to one of the premium Shopify plans to use Datapocket, not just the basic plan typically.
Yeah, that's we have a small issue here with Shopify, and it's they requested us for some privacy kind of like agreements. So the way forward with Shopify is more complicated than WooCommerce, to be honest. You have to download your CSV from your shop, and you have to upload it into our platform, and then you have all the information. WooCommerce, the good thing is that it's 24/7 synchronized without doing anything. So you just connect once, connected forever.
I think from a person who's done e-commerce, and we were talking about I'm in a process of building a large e-commerce store as we speak. I much prefer the Woo platform for that reason. I think you can't ignore Shopify. They're a big player. They're also Canadian. I think you know that. They're based out of Ottawa, Ontario. And but that all said, I think because it's a closed platform, I don't think the flexibility is there. And sometimes the rules are more stringent. So things like having to download the CSV and importing it. I just know a lot of shop owners aren't going to do that. It's just, extra
That's so
work,
true.
and their job, truthfully, is to run an e-commerce store, not to worry about all this other stuff. They don't want to worry about downloading this, moving this here, doing that. They want it all to be done seamless. So it
Yep.
would be
No,
nice if you
that's
could get,
so true.
yeah, it
In
would be
fact,
nice. Go ahead.
sorry, Rob. In fact, I think that on the long term, I was talking about this with SiteGround once. On the long term, WooCommerce, I think, is better than Shopify in terms of
Yep.
cost, the architecture of your shop, the security, the privacy, and especially, as I mentioned, the first thing I mentioned, costs. Shopify seems to be free at the beginning, but then
Mhm.
there's many costs behind the plans and the platform.
Yeah, I would agree with you. So to give some kind of idea, I'm building out a large jewelry store site. I can share that publicly, so that's not a
Mhm.
problem. And I'm using this one's going on GoDaddy managed WooCommerce hosting. So we're not talking the typical $5 a month, go and buy your shared hosting and then let's watch where the dice fall. Please don't do that even for a regular site. It's not a good idea.
Mhm.
And at that cost, that includes a whole suite of plugins. Bluehost does the same with the suite, which we were talking about. They have managed, and now they're doing smart things like incorporating AI into all of this stuff as well. And
Yeah.
then you're talking like for hosting with the plugin suites, you're probably talking typically like $30 a month, give or take, and that's Canadian. That's not even US. So we're talking like
Yeah.
really reasonable. Where your cost is on Woo is your upfront cost, your development cost, and there.
Very.
Whereas with platforms like Shopify, a lot of your costing is on the back end, and then you lose flexibility. It's just an interesting model when you think about it, right?
Yeah, no, it's you just explained it very very nicely. It's just like that.
Thank you. Yeah. So it's just like that. So I think that's what people need to kind of think about. And if you want control of your data, I think Woo's the way to go because then you have your data in your platform, not on somebody else's platform. But that's,
Yeah.
where are you planning on going with Datapocket or how are you planning on expanding it?
Yeah. So we have a few options now. There was some good news 1 week ago.
Sure.
Adobe sent us an email very randomly, like, "Hey, I've seen Ovixia. Ovixia is kind of like our company that then builds all these SaaS projects. I've seen that you develop Filkers, which is our first SaaS, and you have Datapocket. I can see you work with Canva, Figma. I can also see that you work with Adobe Photoshop. Would you like to be in Adobe Express?" And we were like, "No, yes, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
it's another integration. Adobe is betting on this. They're putting so much effort into Adobe Express because what they really want to do here is Adobe is still kind of like the pixel perfect design.
Mhm.
Canva, on the other hand, is for non-designers, which are trying to become as good as Adobe, if that makes sense. But Adobe
Yeah.
Express, what it's going to do here is kind of overlap Canva. It's going to be as easy as Canva. But then you will be able to share these designs with your colleagues from Photoshop, After Effects, Illustrator. So there's going to be some really interesting things going on with Adobe on the next year. And Datapocket is going to be there as well, if possible.
Yeah.
So
And
that's one of the things.
I would also say Adobe's jumping into the AI space too in a big, big way right now. I mean, their
And
last big,
very nice. Yeah.
yeah, their last big buy was they bought Canva. For those who don't know, Canva is an Adobe product now. I mean, and I know there was some concern when they made that buy, but as a Canva user and a Photoshop user, I haven't seen much change there. The big change is all the AI stuff that's coming in and all the enhancements coming in. I mean, because if let's be honest, if you're charging like $30 US a month for a pro suite, you better have tools in there that benefit you towards what you're paying, right? And Adobe's known as not being a cheap product on the market, frankly.
No, it's never been cheap. And Adobe Firefly, which is the name of the AI, is really powerful, as you mentioned. So it's their own AI, so that's very good. They're not playing with
Yeah.
third parties. And that's kind of one of the way forward for Datapocket. The other thing, as we were talking before, is that we are evaluating the idea of having partners specialized on WooCommerce to play with Datapocket and being kind of like responsible of selling the plugin.
Yeah. That's probably a really good way to go. As we say, we've seen it with GoDaddy, we've seen it with Newfold, with Bluehost, and some of their offerings. They have a big AI and offering coming down. And speaking of Bluehost, they have their big creator awards coming up. I think you're on the jury for that as well, if I recall right.
Yes,
So yeah, so am I. So I'll give Bluehost a bit of a plug. They're doing some nice stuff in the community, and I think actually I've done a better job in the community in the last year than I had before that. I'll say that very frankly. So kudos to those guys for what they're doing, and we're seeing more and more. I mean, we know WP Engine has bought a couple companies along the way to enhance their options. So I think, like for companies like yours, partnering with a hosting company is probably the way you'd like to go if you could. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that makes more sense than another plugin company.
Yeah, especially a company that has already clients, happy clients, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Recurrent users, so they always think of the brand that they're using. So let's say GoDaddy. So, oh yeah, my hosting is on GoDaddy, my website on my domain and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Datapocket could be kind of like another player inside of someone that is bigger than us. So as you mentioned, that's probably one of the way forward for Datapocket.
Yeah. How long ago did how long ago was Datapocket founded? Like, how long have you been in operation now? A couple of years, right? Pretty well.
So I mean, Datapocket working 100% on the
Pretty
market
well.
June
Yeah.
2023.
Yeah. So it's been a busy year and a big year.
Is very recent, and I mean the thing is that there was a lot of development because of Canva. They wouldn't let us launch it until they had. Well, we even had to go to San Francisco to present Datapocket with them. So imagine they had to prepare an event. They were waiting for more apps to come. So even though it was finished, no one knew that it existed. So it's been very recent, and we already have more than 4,000 users. So I think it's going well. But again, I feel like someone bigger needs to push the product to make it shine.
Well, the problem is if you want to scale, you've either gotta get involved with somebody bigger who's already got that market. It's easier, and then because they already have a user base, or you have to market yourself and come up with the user base, or somehow you've got to go viral on social, which honestly in this day and age is almost impossible. Like I have clients come to me all the time and say, as a marketer, saying, could you make us go viral? And I'm like, I can't promise you that. I mean, we could try, but it's so hard to go viral in this day and age. I think aiming there is a bit of a mistake, don't you think?
Yeah, there's too much content going on, and especially, I mean, every single second as we are talking, there's people creating content like crazy. So again, as you said, the probabilities and the chance to become viral or very popular from all of a sudden are very low. So
with Datapocket, and you guys are based in EU, did you have any big restrictions with privacy in EU you had to worry about? Because we all know being in the EU, I personally think the EU is good for business. Like I really do. I wish Canada would go that route in some respects. Did it cause complications?
That's a good question. people think that Datapocket could have any privacy issues because we are kind of like reading your shop or your product
Yeah.
page. But the good thing about Datapocket really is that we don't go that deep. We only read what's publicly available. Meaning
Yeah.
that, for example, if you have a store with, again, as you mentioned before, 2,000 products,
Mhm.
we're going to read all those products, but we're not going to read anything from your shop, your payments, your orders, your customers. There's no data. And the good thing about Datapocket is that when we say we synchronize, what we really do is that we first do a scan of the products, and
Yeah.
we only serve the image or serve the text when you are inside the design platform and you press click. The way we do it is kind of like the magic potion of Datapocket. The way we do it is that we ask the servers, so kind of like we have built a very complex cloud service, where what we do is we ask for the picture on that very moment on the click. So
Okay.
what you're seeing really when you're inside your platform is only the image of your product.
That's
But when
awesome.
you, for example, want to put your image on Canva, that's when we read the product only at that very moment. So we don't really store anything at any point. So we kind of like jump the privacy and security problems.
Okay. That's an interesting way of doing it. So you're not really storing any data
Nothing.
per se. So
No.
there's not a privacy issue there at all.
And there's
So
no costs for us.
no, that's good. Um, you don't have to answer, but are you kind of is the back end based in a data center or is it S3 based or can you share
Yeah,
that?
it's three based.
It's S3 based. Okay. And how's the reliability of S3 been lately?
Sorry, again?
How's the reliability of S3 been lately?
Oh, I mean, we've never had any problems. It's true that, for example, the other day there was this Shopify store coming in with 70,000. I don't want to be running here, but more than 70,000 pictures, images. Our servers had to overlap, and so we usually have kind of like I don't know how you say this in English correctly now. Kind of like a security measures in case our servers are full. So we had to go almost like 3 times the usual. So
Mm.
only synchronizing that shop was super expensive because we were not expecting kind of like that kind of shops coming in.
Yeah.
So it was a good thing for us to try the servers and to see how a huge shop could come in at any time.
Oh, good. So that's really good to know. S3 is usually pretty stable too, so that
Yeah,
they don't have a lot of ups and downs. I mean, the reality of working in the web world is you're going to get some ups and downs no matter who you go with. It doesn't matter. We've seen it.
that's right.
Um, yeah. Have you had any issues with security on the SaaS side of the product, or has things been pretty good there?
Um, I mean, it's not because I love my team, but it's true that we have Angel. He's specialized on systems,
Yeah.
and we always call him the hacker because he's he's kind of like a hacker vibe. He will be the one hacking others, and so he
Mm.
knows how to protect us from security breaches or anything. Um, to be honest, we rely on him completely, and we've never had any issues with
Yeah.
security.
I think that's the big thing is find somebody who's good at what they do and trust what they do. That's the key. Like security is all based on trust. I would argue and just keep an eye out there. The wild's getting pretty scary right now. I mean, every time you turn the paper in North America, some company's been hacked somewhere, some government agency, some retailers, some this. Um, Even I've had my credit card compromised, believe it or not, 3 times in the last 18 months and had my bank account hacked. So there you go. And
Wow.
that happened about 4 years ago. So I've been through the mill on that one. So and for me, security is a big issue. It's a big part of what I do on the website. So it's a question I always like to ask because it's just
No, it's
interesting.
really important. Really
Yeah,
important.
and we could go down that rabbit hole for hours if we had to. That's a whole new
Most
ballgame.
likely.
Besides Datapocket and Woo, what else you got yourself into these days, or other little projects? Or
Yeah, so we have another SaaS project which is on legacy, which probably in a few months will come back with another name and kind of like changing the UX a bit. But if I can explain it in two sentences, it's a video marketing tool for e-commerce.
oh, I like that.
So people can really start creating videos or well MP4s or even HTML videos for their websites with WooCommerce connected in real time. So kind of like the template grabs the information, images, text, prices, and the template is built automatically, and then you can share it on your website on HTML. You can share it on the shape of blocks as well, like Gutenberg, or you can export it for social media in MP4.
That's really cool. So would you call this almost an AI based tool? It sounds like it, right? It's a little bit of it.
That's the trick here. There's no AI.
Okay.
There's a lot of JavaScript
Okay.
behind. It's the
Okay.
mixture between Lottie files. I don't know if you know Lottie
I
files.
do. I do.
So it's the mixture between e-commerce, Lottie files, and JavaScript, and it's kind of like a factory of videos. We call it. It's like the Canva for videos.
Yeah.
That's the name we put for our platform.
And I could see this being successful because video marketing, especially with the younger generation, has become even more key. Like quick video shorts of 15 or 30 seconds, that kind of thing. I think that's really important. And that's why platforms like TikTok and even Instagram with reels and stuff like
Yeah,
that have taken off more and more, I think, is because of video marketing, right? So, yeah,
100%.
good luck with
Yeah,
that one. Um,
video format is still king in social media and will
any
be
idea?
forever.
Any idea when you're looking at a full launch date when you get back to reorganizing this, or is it just kind of a project that's there and then as time permits?
So the idea here is that when our developing team has more hands on this project,
Yep.
the idea is to change again name probably and an interface
Mhm.
and relaunch it as a new product. But there's no date, probably sometime in 2024 for sure.
Yeah, it sounds really exciting. I wish you well with that. In terms of your development team, is most of it contracted, or is it most of it employees of the company, or have you guys gone to kind of a half and half model? Where have you gone with that? Running a remote company?
That's a very good question, Rob, because that's our not biggest issue, but it's something that maybe can help others. Our company was not really growing fast, but then we
Mhm.
got this very big client that demanded so much that then we were like, okay, we really want to take this project, but we don't have the team for this. So we had to hands on hiring people because
Mhm.
we believe that having people in house is better for things like security, trust, as you said, feeling
I
like
agree.
home. But it's
Yeah.
true that, for example, in terms of front end, we have a contractor. So it's someone that we ask him for projects and he comes with the results. We are really happy with this person because he's not a freelancer. He's
Mm.
kind of like working for someone else
Yeah.
that is hiring him and then putting him into projects,
Okay.
if it makes sense. So it's kind of like a freelancer, but not really.
Yeah. Yeah. He's working through somebody. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then we're hiring a few people now. Like we have three new developers, and there's another one in Monday starting. So next week.
That's good. Yeah. The
Yeah, the
hardest
team
part
is.
with The hardest part with hiring new staff, whether it's contract or internally, is onboarding and then getting them up to speed on how you guys do things because
Yeah,
every company does things a little bit differently.
yeah.
Everybody manages their projects a little differently. What do you guys use to manage your projects?
Where do we manage our projects?
Yeah. What are you using? What SaaS product are you using for
So we use the
management?
Atlassian suite. We use Jira software mainly, and Confluence for kind of like the documents and making sure that everything is there so we can
Yeah.
revisit the project. But yeah, Jira software is our way forward. We work with sprints. We work with refinement. If is that refinement?
Mhm.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sometimes with my English, I forget about words.
It's good.
But kind of like feedback all the time on the sprints and making sure that our team is always aligned. So that's the way
Yeah.
we work with the
Yeah.
developers.
The key is to decide on your software stack that you're going to use to manage and stick with it. Don't do what a lot of people do in our business. They like to try every new tool every day. You know where it's going with that, the shiny tool
Yeah,
syndrome,
exactly.
and they wonder why they don't get any work done in terms of stuff. But I think you got to kind of sit down and figure it out, and then once you get with it, stick with it. I think the process is more important than the tools sometimes, but you know,
No,
it's
yeah, 100%. I think there's people that try too many things and there's no time for that. It's like having too many meetings in a day. It's like,
yeah,
no, we need some work done. Uh,
yeah.
but yeah, I think being the agile methodology and the Scrum is very important, to be honest, in our team, for example.
As long as the listener stays away from Microsoft Office, I'll be or Microsoft Project. I'll be happy. I come from before I built my agency. I come from an enterprise healthcare background, and
Yeah.
they all like to default to MS Project, and MS Project is the worst to manage projects. You spend more time managing the MS Project than you do managing the project itself. It's kind of hard from that perspective. And at the time we had a CTO who used to like his projects plans to look exactly the way they should look. So the day before project plans were due, all the project managers would huddle in their offices, changing their project plans for submission. So they'd have one that they used to track everything, and then one that looked pretty to get past management.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, waste of time actually at the end of the day, because what did it
Of
achieve,
course.
right? You know.
Yeah,
So,
things have changed so much as well.
oh, I know. I don't. This business is a changing business. Whether you're doing SaaS development, whether you're doing web development, whether you're
Yeah.
doing any marketing, it used to be things changed every year, and now we're changing like every week and every day. It's gotten pretty. It can be hard at times too. It's challenging, but it can be hard.
I think it's challenging. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. Thanks for the conversation this morning. Much appreciated. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, talk about data pocket, WordCamp EU, or anything else, how's the best way?
I'm very active on LinkedIn and Twitter or X, I don't know how we call it anymore,
X,
but
X, formerly known as Twitter.
I'm very active on LinkedIn mainly, but also you can send me a message or follow each other on Twitter and then we can have a chat.
Yep. Thanks, George. You have an awesome day and enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you for your time, Rob.
You're welcome. My pleasure. This show is brought to you by StunningDigitalMarketing.com, your Toronto leader in digital marketing services. Not only do we protect your WordPress website, we can help you with your site, provide social media management for your business, or even do one-on-one consulting. To find out more, go to StunningDigitalMarketing.com. A very special thank you to George for joining me on this edition of the SDM Show. Hey everybody, Rob here again. Thanks for listening to the SDM Show. It's such a pleasure to have you every week. If you want more on our agency website, go to StunningDigitalMarketing.com. We are your WordPress security experts. We'd be glad to help you out. If you want to learn more about me, Rob Cairns, go to meetrobcairns.online. From there, you can find links to everything I do on the web, as well as book time with me. So feel free. If you want to make comments about this podcast or know a guest possibly suitable for the podcast, please email us at podcast@stunningdigitalmarketing.com. Or conversely, you can go to X, formerly known as Twitter, and tweet at me at Rob Cairns. This podcast is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much, and I love you. Please join us next week for another interesting podcast, and have a great week, everybody. Bye for now.